What is up, guys? Austin here for the final day of the best and worst of 2013. I am so happy you guys have enjoyed the videos so far. I am very thankful that my pals and my brother were able to all participate in this list. Thank you to Joe, Shane, Lucas, and Alex for participating. And so today, here we go, guys. It's the final day. You're gonna hear my favorite movies of the year and my least favorite movies of the year. Now, keep in mind, guys, just because you have some favorite movies doesn't mean they'll be my favorite movies. I could have ranked them in terms of genre, ranked them in terms of my theater experience, how many times I saw them in the theaters. So now in terms of honorable mentions, I have 13 honorable mentions, yeah, but I have 5 honorable mentions and a few missed the cut. My first one for missed the cut is Captain Phillips. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, I loved it. The romance subplot was a bit rushed. The Way Back, absolutely fantastic movie. Lone Survivor, absolutely fantastic war movie. Mud, absolutely loved it. Matthew McConaughey has one of his best performances ever. The Spectacular Now, one of the best romance movies I've ever seen. Miles Teller redeems himself in this movie as a dramatic person. The Place Beyond the Pines, an excellent drama. Those are my missed the cut. Now my 5 honorable mentions. The first one is Pacific Rim. I had so much fun watching this movie. I saw it twice. All I wanted was just robots versus monsters, and I got exactly that. Next one, Dallas Buyers Club. Absolutely excellent movie. The only flaw I had with it is that it's a little long here and there. Otherwise, Matthew McConaughey gave his best performance in this movie. More than Mud, I have to say. The next one, this movie made me cry. It's based on a true story movie. I love this movie so much. I saw it with Lucas. I made him come with me to see this. This one is Fruitvale Station. An absolutely fantastic movie. Had a great cast. Michael B. Jordan deserves to be nominated for an Oscar. I mean, this is his best performance he's ever given in a movie. It's just about a guy who's trying to reinvent himself, but he got stopped. My next honorable mention, you guys are gonna be really surprised. This is not on my list, and the reason why, only reason why is because I can only watch the movie once. It's 12 Years a Slave. I can only watch this movie once. It represents a very dark time in American history. It's definitely a great history. This movie is the perfect history lesson for slavery, and I loved it. And my final honorable mention goes to one of the funniest movies of the year, This Is the End. Absolutely fantastic comedy. Does a great job, like Lucas said, implementing the apocalyptic side into a comedy movie. Loved it how the actors were parodying themselves. The coke of Michael Cera. Whoever thought about that deserves a raise in Hollywood. And now, guys, let's go on to my top 10 favorite movies of the year.
Number 10.
My number 10, you know, this year I thought was a pretty decent year for horror movies. We had The Purge, which I thought was a fun movie. We had Mama, which I thought was good. We had Insidious Chapter 2, which was great. And you know, all those, we had a fantastic remake. Now, my number 10 is Evil Dead. This movie it blew me away. In terms of fun in the theaters, this movie I had the most fun with. It's not because I saw it with Sarah, it's not just because of her, okay? Although she made it better, I will admit. Seeing it with the girl was even better, okay? Just watching this movie, with Pacific Rim, how much fun I had, just multiply that by 5. I'm a huge horror fanatic. The fact that Fede Alvarez, the director, relied on mostly practical effects 99% of the time. There was hardly any CGI, which I loved. It's gory, but the thing is that it's not like Saw gore, like in your face. The fact that Fede Alvarez made such a great reboot that stands on its own ground. And the acting, yeah, it's not the greatest acting ever, but you know, the reason why I loved it most is because it was a great throwback to old school horror movies. And I had the most fun with Evil Dead out of any movie this year, and that's why it's my number 10.
Number 9.
Number 9. This was on Shane's top 5, if I remember correctly. The interesting thing is, I saw this movie after I literally had my first date ever, and this is Don John. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's directorial debut, and to mention, number 10 was also a directorial debut, and it was a fantastic one, and this was a great one. Not only did Joseph Gordon direct it, he wrote it and starred it in himself, and that just shows how committed he is to making his first movie a great one. The reason why I loved it so much, not because it shows how relationships could work, but it's just a guy who has a hard-on for pornography, and a girl that has a hard-on for romantic comedies, and how the two of them clash together. It's fantastic. I love the message, and it really shows that guys can be total dickheads, and girls can be total bitches. It's one of the best romantic comedies I've ever seen, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's, first directorial debut. Seriously, congrats. The editing was great. It was funny. It was heartfelt. It was original. It was a romantic comedy that attacked romantic comedy cliches, and that's why I loved it so much. and that is why Don John is my number 9.
Number 8.
Number 8. Now, this year in terms of sequels, we've had some decent sequels. This sequel to me is the Dark Knight of sequels. Number 8 is Star Trek Into Darkness. I absolutely loved Star Trek Into Darkness. I loved J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek movie. Here's the thing, I was never a Star Trek fan. I never was. I was always a Star Wars fanboy. But J.J. Abrams made me a fan of Star Trek after watching the first one. I pre-gamed for this one by watching his Star Trek, and I love this one even more. I loved it how they evolved Spock's and Kirk's friendship and how they still had their wars, even though they kind of got over their stuff in the original. But I loved it how they showed a relationship between a first officer and a captain. The special effects were amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan, oh my god, he was phenomenal in this movie. And the final fight between Khan and Spock was a great fight scene and had a great cliffhanger to what I think is going to be a great third Star Trek film. As soon as I finished watching this movie, I said to myself, J.J. Abrams, you have my absolute full support on Star Wars Episode 7 because that is his next movie and I cannot wait to see what he does with Star Wars because, let's face it, George Lucas raped the franchise. Taking a quote from Howard Stern, he's going to come in like Jesus Christ as the savior of the franchise. And that's why Star Trek is my number 8.
Number 7.
Number 7, you know, this genre is my least favorite genre. I never thought that a musical would never, ever make it onto my top 10, but this year, it happened. My number 7 is Frozen. This movie connected with me on so many levels. After I watched it, I wanted to revisit all the old Disney classics. The voice acting was fantastic. I never knew that Kristen Bell could sing that good. I cried in this movie twice. I'm not even kidding. The song Let It Go. Oh my god, Let It Go was such an amazing song. If You Want to Build a Snowman made me tear up so much. It was a great adaptation off of a short story called The Snow Queen, if I remember correctly. Pixar has not been doing so well recently. I mean, I will say Monsters University was a great movie. It was fantastic. But Disney is becoming the new Pixar in terms of its quality movies. I mean, let's face it, because last year they had Wreck-It Ralph, this year we have Frozen, and that's why it's my number 7.
Number 6.
Number 6, I love Edgar Wright. I love this guy so much. He's directed some of my favorite films of all time. He did Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is my favorite comic book movie of all time, which I know Joe hates. I was so hungry to see this movie, and you know what? It was a great end to an unofficial trilogy. My number 6 goes to The World's End. Just non-stop laughter for me. I loved this movie. Edgar Wright is a masterclass director. He knows what he's doing behind the camera. He knows how to make me laugh especially. I love British humor. It's my favorite humor. I don't know what it is. It's either the accents or the jokes that Edgar Wright writes. One of my favorite jokes in the entire movie was, how is that white light? She's not dead, is she? I loved it how each of the Cornetto trilogy movies parodied a specific movie. This one parodied alien invasion science fiction movies. I love the acting, I love the cinematography, and the message at the end was such a great message. I really hope that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg collaborate more on other projects because when the two are together, they are like an unstoppable force together. And that's why World's End is my number 6.
Number 5.
Alright, now we're getting into the top 5. These were the ones that just hit me so hard. They just hit me home. Number 5, I saw this on Christmas night with my brother. The most entertaining movie of the year, Wolf of Wall Street. It was crazy. It was just freaking crazy as can be. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, what I believe is his best performance he's ever given, as a misogynistic and crazy Wall Street broker who reminded me a lot of Christian Bale in American Psycho. Jonah Hill also gives one of his best performances. My god, this is one of the most graphic movies I've ever seen. This movie was rated R. How much shit happens in this movie? Surprised me I did not get an NC-17 rating. Yeah. Seriously. I love the way how Martin Scorsese just did not let up. Editing was fantastic. It's a 3-hour movie, but you know what? It didn't feel 3 hours to me at all. It felt like it maybe felt 2 hours and 20 minutes at the most to me. It was funny. It was entertaining the entire way. I loved it how it chronicled Jordan Belfort's rise and decline of being a Wall Street broker. Martin Scorsese is a masterclass director behind that camera, and I cannot wait to see what he has up in store. And you know what? Leonardo DiCaprio, Academy, you have snubbed him long enough. You snubbed him in Django Unchained. You better nominate him, okay? I mean, it's pissing me off, alright? I mean, he gashed his hand in Django Unchained. He used his body as a prop. That is a committed actor. Anyways, that's why it's my number 5.
Number 4.
You know, number 4, I wasn't really too psyched about this movie. One of my pals wanted to see this movie, and to me, it's the feel-good movie of the year. When I watched it, I wanted to watch Mary Poppins again. My number 4 is Saving Mr. Banks. This movie hit home so much for me. Just the acting from Colin Farrell, from Emma Thompson, from from Tom Hanks, from everyone did a fantastic job. When I heard Let's Go Fly a Kite, I started crying. They had so many references to Mary Poppins. To me, Saving Mr. Banks was the biggest surprise for me this year. I was not looking forward to a movie that would make me feel so good in my heart. The moment it ended, I wanted to watch Mary Poppins again, and I'm going to very soon again. I love Saving Mr. Banks. It is definitely the biggest surprise. It's my sleeper hit of the year.
Is it supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Yes, it is, as a matter of fact, Alex. Anyways, that's why it's my number 4. Alright, number 3. My favorite trilogy of all time is Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love the first Hobbit. While Star Trek was the Dark Knight of sequels, this, to me, is the Empire Strikes Back of sequels. My number 3 is The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. I was nerdgasming in my seat the entire time of this movie. I was quivering in my seat because of how just like excited I was for this movie. Peter Jackson has done it yet again in this movie. This is the Two Towers of the Hobbit trilogy. While An Unexpected Journey had a slow start, Desolation of Smaug goes right into the action, and the barrel scene. Holy shit. I saw this movie twice. The first time was in regular, then I saw it in IMAX 3D high frame rate. Yes, I went all out on this movie the second time I saw it. Smaug the Dragon. Holy fucking shit, he was awesome. By far the best dragon I've ever seen put to film. Benedict Cumberbatch did such a fantastic job, not only voicing him, but he did the motion capture for him. The 3D looked great, the high frame rate really added to the beauty of Middle Earth, and that cliffhanger. Wachowski, that's how you do a cliffhanger. I'm not gonna stress this enough, you guys. I cannot wait for There and Back Again, and that's why it's my number 3.
Number 2.
Number 2. The moment I saw this trailer, I was so hungry to see this. People have been calling this the best space film ever. Number 2 goes to the most realistic space film since 2001: Space Odyssey. It's everyone's number 2, let's face it. Number 2 is Gravity. This movie just, first time I saw it in D-Box video with Joe, Alex, and Lucas. The D-Box experience provided the best physical experience. The second time I saw it was in IMAX 3D, and oh my god. In IMAX 3D, I literally felt like I was in space. Sandra Bullock does a phenomenal job as an actress in this movie as the rookie astronaut. The stuff that she goes through, oh my god. The fact that this movie had no sound except for that a mesmerizing score by Stephen Price. I loved how it stuck true to space, how there's no sound in space except for maybe the point of view sounds you would hear from Sandra Bullock or from any other actors. Alfonso Cuarón did a fantastic job in directing this movie, and the visual effects in this movie are, no pun intended, out of this world. I completely forgot Avatar existed. I'm not even kidding. Avatar has nothing compared to Gravity. And it was terrifying, it was intense, the score was great, and people are saying this is boring. How in the motherfuck is this boring? But anyways, Gravity, it's one of the best space films I've ever seen. I hope this wins over 12 Years a Slave. I'd rather have a movie that I'll remember without being depressed, rather than, no, fuck Mud compared to this. Sorry, that is why Gravity's my number 2. Go see it.
It's number 1.
My number 1. This was a movie that came out in the summertime. I'm a huge fan of this genre, and nothing ever beats this genre for me. Nothing does. I saw this with my best friends. Nothing, not even Gravity to me, compared to what this movie did to me this year. My number 1 goes to The Conjuring.
Oh, of course.
James Wan understands how to do horror movies. It was based on a true story. If you guys didn't remember that, what's the thing that a lot of horror movies do these days? Jump scares. That annoys the shit out of me. What does James Wan do? Doesn't do that at all. What does he rely on? Slow, steady build-up shots that build up to a big-ass scary. The moment I got out of it, it reminded me of why I loved The Exorcist so much. And you know what? The minute I walked out of it, it had that exact effect. I got a few nightmares. I'm not even kidding. This movie scared the living shit out of me. You know what? Horror is my favorite genre, okay? I'm not gonna stress this enough, guys. You know what? You know what you need for a great horror film? These things. A great director, James Wan, check. A great script, check. Great cast, check. Great cinematography, sound effects, production design, everything was perfect in this movie. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga had excellent chemistry as the Warrens. From what I've heard, from the true story, from what I've heard, what the parents experienced, what we saw was only a third of what they actually experienced. James Wan is a fantastic horror director. Nothing compared to Conjuring this year. Nothing did. It is one of the scariest films I've ever seen in my life. It is the second best possession film besides The Exorcist. To me, this is the movie that just did it right for me. And I love The Conjuring so much. James Wan, I hope you come back for Insidious Chapter 3 because you are a master at what you do in horror movies. And you know what? I know that you're going through some delays in Fast and Furious 7 because of Paul Walker's death. R.I.P. RIP, by the way. Knowing you, I know you can do it. There was literally so many scenes where I just didn't breathe. I sort of got, I felt my heart stop a few parts of it. And there were parts where the entire theater was just silent. We were experiencing one specific emotion, and that was fear. Brought fear to all of us who saw it. That's why it's my number 1. Alright guys, so those are my top 10 favorite films of the year and my honorable mentions. Comment on, let me know below what your favorites are. And coming up, guys, are my shit stains of the year. Get ready for those. And until then, I will see you guys next time.
Seriously, do it. Do it. Do it.